Hello everybody, it is me, Super Godzilla Final Wars here, and today we're going to be discussing what would happen if Legendary Godzilla and Heisei Godzilla switched places. Now, I know what you're probably wondering, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, what if Heisei was in the Monsterverse, and what if Legendary was in the Heisei universe? How these two Godzillas adapt to their new environments? How these two Godzillas interact with the monsters in these new universes that they are currently now trapped in? Well, I normally would want to start. Well, at first I did want to start with Heisei, but I don't know anything about the last two episodes. Well, three, because I haven't watched episode 8 yet. So I have to watch episode 8. And then wait for episode 9 to come out, and then 10. But still, since we don't know anything about the other two episodes, about Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, I decided to go for Legendary first. How would Legendary fit in the Heisei universe? Now, we're not going to go immediately to his 2019 design. Oh, no. We're going to go all the way back. We're going to go to his Monarch Legacy of Monsters design, aka the 1954 design. And we're going to start with the return of Godzilla. Now, how would the events of Return of Godzilla be? Will Godzilla be aggressive? Would Legendary Goji be aggressive towards the humans in this universe? Or will he just do the same thing that he did in the Monsterverse? Just don't really care about the humans as long as he keeps the balance in nature. Well, I say he'll just do what he always does, keep the balance in nature, and not really care about the humans. But in order for Return of Godzilla to actually be entertaining, besides just having G-Force just freaking observe and study Godzilla, I think there should be another monster featured in the film in order for Godzilla to be actually active. Now, what monster could fit into this new version of Return of Godzilla? Oh yeah, and also I think we need to address the fact that Legendary Goji might not be used to this new area, this new world that he's currently in. Like, he is so used to his current world, but when he's swimming around, looking around, just checking out all the other kaiju, he'll realize that there's no other kaiju. Not only that, but there's no Hollow Earth entrances. I think he'll immediately realize that he's in a different world. Plus, the radiation on the surface is not as, it's basically the same as in his world. Anyways, the monster who I would pick to be in the film, I would have to say it would probably be Gorosaurus, but we're gonna have to maybe add a few more in order to make this version of the Return of Godzilla actually more interesting and actually have Godzilla actually fighting something. I think Godzilla will at first kill a few Gorosauruses and then leave the last two surviving ones alive. Now we go to Godzilla versus Biollante. I think the events will still play out very similar how they did in the film, except a little different. Except G-Force, knowing that Godzilla is not aggressive towards them and just actually going after the other kaiju, I think they'll see him as more like an anti. I think they'll see him as a hero. So I think the events of Godzilla versus Biollante will definitely be very, very different. I think Godzilla would still be attracted to Biollante because of their G cells. But except I think this version of Biollante, being made with the legendary Godzilla G cells, I think she would be actually a bit more aggressive and a bit more violent and a bit more dangerous than the Heisei counterpart was. And I don't think she'll be any friendly towards the human characters. Like, when I mean not friendly, I mean not friendly. I think she'll probably be like the same as Space Godzilla. Or destroy it, if not worse. Not only that, I think Godzilla would actually need some help in order to kill this version of Biollante, because the Heisei Godzilla was managed to kill Biollante just fine on his own. But since he is now in the Monsterverse, and Legendary is now in this universe, Godzilla, and, well, since this version of Biollante is a lot more dangerous and a lot more aggressive and a lot more violent, I think Godzilla might actually need some help in order to kill this version of Biollante. So I think the Gorosaurus' returning might it's like returning to help Godzilla might actually make sense. As for Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, I think this version of the film would be definitely way different than the Monsterverse version. Well, then, how it was, well, in the Heisei version. For starters, humanity is not interested in getting rid of this Godzilla because, well, Legendary is actually a good guy. And he's not actually destroying their cities and not looking for their nuclear power plants. At least not yet. But I think Godzilla will still be searching for some spots of radiation. Maybe not enough to sustain him, like how he was in King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong, and currently in Monarch Legacy of Monsters, because, well, there was all those Hollow Earth entrances, so Godzilla had plenty of radiation to consume. But in this universe, there's only some spots of radiation, because this is the Heisei universe. So, again, I think the events of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah would definitely be way different. And I think King Ghidorah would be the one to immediately get killed by Godzilla. If not Godzilla gets severely injured by King Ghidorah. And some of the monsters, like maybe Gorosaurus and possibly Anguirus, coming up to help Godzilla to kill King Ghidorah. And this is where things start to get really interesting. Now, when the people from the future come back and rebuild King Ghidorah as Mecha King Ghidorah, Godzilla definitely needs a lot more help. So I think the military would come in to help Godzilla out to destroy Mecha King Ghidorah. And keep in mind about this, because it might be really important later on. Now we move on to, well, after Godzilla kills King Ghidorah, he goes off and goes to the other kaiju. Now we move on to Godzilla versus Mothra. Now the question is, will Legendary Godzilla and Mothra and Heisei Mothra actually fight? Or will they actually get along? Well, the answer is, they would actually get along. Because the Heisei Mothra actually viewed humanity and was willing to protect them. And Legendary Godzilla yes, he does have his moments of attacking humans and killing them, but that was only when he was provoked. Sorry, I can't speak. But instead of being titled Godzilla vs. Mothra, I think it should be titled as Godzilla vs. Gigan. And I think half of the film would still play out the same in the current film, but just different at the end. And but instead of Batra, instead of Mothra versus Godzilla, it's Godzilla versus Batra. Instead of the one who attacks the humans first and Mothra first, it's Batra. And Godzilla shows up to save the human characters and Mothra. And I can definitely see Legendary Godzilla overpowering Batra with ease and severely injuring Batra. So the fight scene between Godzilla and Mothra that happened in the movie, again, would not have happened in this version. Now, to the final battle, we get Mothra and Batra versus the Gigans. After Mothra and Batra's little battle, Gigans show up. This is sort of a Godzilla versus Gigan Rex reference. But hundreds, let's say a few Gigans start showing up and start to overpower the Mothra and Batra, and all hope seems to be lost until Godzilla arrives with some backup. The Gorosaurus survivors and Angirius. They show up to help Godzilla. Well, they show up to help Mothra and Batra. I can see Mothra telling Godzilla that Batra is now on their side. So the final battle would turn out in Mothra and Batra's favor with the help of Godzilla and Angirius and the Gorosaurus survivors. And, well, immediately they win. But one Gigan survives and flies off to space. However, it carries a bit of Godzilla's DNA. And keep in mind, this will play out later on. So, yeah, keep that in mind. So, at the end of the day, the first half of the Heisei films would change dramatically, while some of them remain the same. At the same time, they won't really remain 100% the same. But keep in mind, this is only part 1 of what if Legendary Godzilla was in the Heisei universe. We still got like 3 more films to go, so keep that in mind. So, yeah, stay tuned for part 2, and I'll see you guys later.